The last time I spoke on this topic, I talked about how Christians should not be caught up in watching secular TV shows and secular movies. And in today's video, I want to put the reasons I gave in that video to the test. And by the end of the video, I'm also going to show you how long it actually took me before I said enough was enough. So I decided to pick a popular TV series called Modern Family. So I clicked on the first episode in the series and I pressed play. Now, one of the main ways in which women are degraded heavily in many TV shows and movies is in their dress. And surprise, surprise, it wasn't too long into this first episode of actually pressing play, two things stood out to me very early on. The daughter in the main nuclear family, and to go along with the young lady wearing this very short and revealing skirt, there was also a wife in the episode who was also dressed in provocative clothing as well. So as we think about this first point, the over-sexualization of women is rife throughout all of these different sorts of secular materials. A woman isn't just made up of what she wears or how much of her skin she reveals. No. The Bible talks clearly about how women and men really should ultimately dress modestly and shouldn't have their bodies revealed for people to see and actually fall into sin. These are some of the programs, sadly, which may have a big influence on you or may have influence on up and coming people that are coming behind you. But the second reason I discussed in that video about why Christians should really avoid this sort of programming is because I said we go out of our way to pay these particular companies, these particular establishments to glorify sin. I gave a very prime example in the previous video. I mentioned a film which I thought was actually very beneficial on this particular topic. And the sad thing is, in order to watch something like Modern Family, if you're in America, you're gonna have to watch this on something like Disney Plus. And if you're in the UK like I am, Prime membership, right, to watch on Amazon Prime or to watch it on Netflix as well. So the point is, we will gladly support these things. And I'll talk about why in the next point in a moment. But the fact of the matter is, we will pay money for Amazon Prime, for Netflix, for all of these different subscription services, and in return they're glorifying sinful actions and sinful deeds which we as Christians should be trying to avoid and flee from on a day-to-day basis. The fact is, we all struggle with sin, and I know for a fact that some of the sins I used to struggle with heavily were contingent with some of the things I was consuming with my eyes on a regular basis. Go back a couple of years, for example, I probably may have not been doing videos like this and this consistently because I was spending my evenings doing other things like binge watching a TV series like The Walking Dead, for example. Now, we just spoke about why we would gladly pay some of these establishments to glorify sin. I'm going to give you a prime reason now with the third example, and that is because many of us are addicted. Now, look, I've been there, I've done that, I've got the t-shirt. And the fact of the matter is, I've spent different parts of my life being addicted to multiple different things. In previous videos, if you've been following me for some time, I've spoken about gaming addictions I've had. I've spoken about TV addictions that I've had, where I've been addicted to certain TV series or I've been addicted to certain sports, which will keep me up deep into the night. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why many of us get addicted, one of the main reasons we get addicted to certain things is because of the feel-good experience it provides for us. And one thing I noticed when I was watching The Modern Family was that their episodes are riddled with humor, which basically desensitizes and covers up, distracts you from the evil they're actually showing you. This is a clip I can show you now, which explains exactly what I mean.
I've gained a few extra pounds while we were expecting the baby, which has been very difficult, but apparently your body does a nesting, very maternal, primal thing where it retains nutrients, some sort of molecular physiology thing. But that's science. You can't fight it.
So can you see how an example like I just showed you was riddled with humor, but really was a distraction from the glorification of evil deeds and sinful acts, which as Christians, we shouldn't be allowing our eyes to see, let alone be paying for this as a form of entertainment. Now, the way I ended the last video, I mentioned how this was not a salvation issue. This is a maturity issue. And the fourth point I want to talk about today is one that basically showcases this. And that is the fact that we would, as we talked about in point number 2, we will pay for these services, we will support these services, but we will not support our local church that we may attend or online ministries which we feel are blessing us on a regular basis. Now, the question I want to ask you is, are you supporting financially a TV subscription like Netflix, like Hulu, like Showtime, like Amazon Prime, without supporting your local church who cares for you on a day-to-day basis, or an online ministry who you very much appreciate the work they're ultimately doing to further your spiritual growth? The fact of the matter is, I know there's many people out there today who will gladly pay for these things that we've talked about today, but will not support their local church where they're basically growing on a day-to-day basis, or won't even support an online ministry who they're learning from on a regular basis. And that is the point. That is the problem. This is why I say it's a maturity issue. Because what happens as Christians is we start off as babes, right? We all do. And we should gradually be growing, right? Some of us exponentially grow until we become mature adults. And it talks about in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, that when we're childish, we do childish things. But when we become men, when we become adults, we put away those childish things. Before I get to the 5th point in today's video, and I tell you how long I actually lasted before I just said enough was enough, I want to thank the Bible Masters community, because I recently published a community post on the YouTube channel, and I was asking, what are different TV shows and movies you've enjoyed over the years, even especially now as a Christian? And I got a huge list of different recommendations, so thank you for that support, and it goes a long way. They may be feeding us carnally, but how much spiritual food are they actually giving us? Now, just before I tell you how much I watched, I want to let you know that this isn't coming from a position of me saying, look, I'm looking down at you or anything along those lines. Hopefully you can see that this is something I'm trying to get you to see so you can mature as a Christian and be the best version of yourself. I mentioned before the first clip in today's video that I started by watching episode 1 of The Modern Family, and it took me 2 more episodes scattered around season 1 before I said enough was enough. Now I'm going to do a video like this again on a completely different TV show or movie, and I'll leave that here for you to watch. Even when you're watching Christian TV, you have to be thinking about what is good and what is bad, and this is something I teach you in these set of videos right here.